Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacha Shodhara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacha Shodhara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Nanta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samveda Bhakti Ki Jai Go Premanandi All glories, some of the devotees, all glories, some of the devotees, all glories, some of the devotees, all glories, ceasing Guru and sitting Gauranga. Can I get a Bhagavad Gita? A Gita, Bhagavad Gita. I need one Bhagavad Gita. I meant to grab it and I forgot. Hare Krishna. What do you think I said? Okay. Here we go. What do you do if you have two people with photographic memories disagree on a verse? It's not a joke, I'm just...
They might have different versions in mind.
Probably get a third person, right? I just think about it because, in Vedic times, people had it all memorized, but all of a sudden you get two people saying, no, that's not what... No, it is. Well... Oh, boy. Oh, okay, I got it. I'm sorry. Wrong chapter. 3:37. There we go. I'll have to think about it. It's a verse, Dravida Prabhu, number and chapter. One thinks he's the doer. Prakriti kriyamane gunai karmani sarvasa. Where's it? What is that? 327. Okay, that's what I thought. 327, not 37. I knew it was off by the, that's it. Nambrakash. Prakate kriyamanani. Okay. Where's the verse? Just not coming. I need a book and I need a voice. We're going to read a few verses this morning. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning, reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th Canto, Chapter 10, the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. We'll be reading the translations of 17, 18, 19, 20, but also there's a purport to verse 20, which we'll be speaking on. We'll chant 20 together. So let's just read the translations leading up to that. And we're on an exciting battlefield here, the siege of Lanka. So text 17, after entering Lanka, the monkey soldiers led by chiefs like Sugriva, Nila, and Hanuman occupied all the sporting houses, granaries, treasuries, palace doorways, city gates, assembly houses, palace frontages, and even the resting houses of the pigeons. But the pigeons are pretty indignant. When the city's crossroads, platforms, flags, and golden water pots on its domes were all destroyed, the entire city of Lanka appeared like a river disturbed by a herd of elephants. You got a visual on that? Text 18. When Ravana, the master of the Rakshasas, saw the disturbances created by the monkey soldiers, he called for Nikumba, Kumbha, Dhumraksha, Durmukha, Surantaka, Narantaka, and other Rakshasas, and also his son Indrajit. Thereafter he called for Prahasta, Atikaya, Vikamba, and finally Kumbhakarna. And then he induced all his followers to fight against the enemies. Text 19. Lord Ramachandra, surrounded by Lakshman and monkey soldiers like Sugriva, Hanuman, Gandamada, Nila, Angada, Jambavan, and Panasha, attacked the soldiers of the Rakshasas who were fully equipped with various invincible weapons like swords, lances, bows, prashas, rishtis, shakti arrows, khadgas, and tomaras. So next text 20. What's the melody on these? Okay. Te nikapa, oh, actually do the word for word. Te nikapa ragapatir abhipatya sarve dvandvam varutam ibha pati ratashva yodhai rajnur dumar giri gandeshubir Angadadyah Sitabim Marsha Hata Mangala Ravanishan Teni Kapa Ragapatir Abhipatya Sarve Dvandvam Varutam Ibapati Ratashva Yodhai Jagnur Dumar Giri Gadeshubir Angadadya Sita Bimarshata Mangala Ravanishan. Thank you. Got a little going there. Te nikapa ragapatir abhipatya sarve dvandvam varutam ibapati ratashva yodhair jagnur dumar giri gadeshubir angadadya Sita Bimarshahata Mangala Ravanishan. Anyone like to chant? else? Ladies? Online? Celestials?
Teni kapara gopatera bipatya sarve.
Teni kapara gapatir abhipatya sarve.
Dvanvam varutam ivapati ratasvayodhai. Jagnur drumargirikadeshu virangadadya. Sita vimarsha hatamangala ravanesham.
Sita vimarsha hatamangala ravanesham. It was here in the Vedas about a disembodied voice speaking. They must have had Zoom back then. So, te, all of them, Anikapaha, the commanders of the soldiers, Raghupate, of Lord Sri Ramachandra, Abhipatya, chasing the enemy, Sarve, all of them, Dvandam, fighting, Varutam, soldiers of Ravana, Ibha, by elephants, Patti, by infantry, Rata, by chariots, Ashva, by horses, Yodhai, by such warriors, Jagnuhu, killed them, Durumahai, by throwing big trees, Giri, by peaks of mountains, Gada, by clubs, Ishubihi, by arrows, Angada Adjaha, all the soldiers of Lord Ramachandra, headed by Angada and others, Sita, of Mother Sita, Abhimarsha, by the anger, Hata, had been condemned, Mangala, whose auspiciousness, Ravana Ishan, the followers or dependents of Ravana. Translation and purport, Srila Prabhupada. Angada and the other commanders of the soldiers of Ramachandra faced the elephants, infantry, horses, and chariots of the enemy and hurled against them big trees, mountain peaks, clubs, and arrows. Thus the soldiers of Lord Ramachandra killed Ravana's soldiers, who had lost all good fortune because Ravana had been condemned by the anger of Mother Sita. Purport. The soldiers of Lord Ramachandra recruited in the jungle were all monkeys and did not have proper equipment with which to fight the soldiers of Ravana. For Ravana's soldiers were equipped with weapons of modern warfare, whereas the monkeys could only throw stones, mountain peaks, and trees. Now, if you go to the San Diego Zoo, they actually have Hanuman monkeys there. They're called Hanuman monkeys. There's a type of monkey called Hanuman monkey. Yeah. But we shouldn't think when they said they weren't ordinary monkeys, they were vanaras. Some are extremely powerful. So it's not that they're just regular monkeys, but so different species. It was only Lord Ramachandra and Lakshman who shot some arrows. But because the soldiers of Ravana were condemned by the curse of Mother Sita, the monkeys were able to kill them simply by throwing stones and trees. There are two kinds of strength, Daiva and Purushakara. Daiva refers to the strength achieved from the transcendence, and Purushakara refers to the strength organized by one's own intelligence and power. Transcendental power is always superior to the power of the materialist. Depending on the mercy of the Supreme Lord, one must fight one's enemies, even though one may not be equipped with modern weapons. Therefore, Krishna instructed Arjuna, Mam anushmara yudhyacha, think of me and fight. We should fight our enemy to the best of our ability, but for victory must depend on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksuran Minitam Dena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Dena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swabadandikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Vanchakapatarubhascha kripa sindhu bevacha patitanam bhavanebho vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So by your ardent prayers and wishes, I'll try to say a few words. So one thing is, here we have an example of a whole race, actually. And the other example I'm thinking about, the whole dynasty, wiped out because of the curse of a woman. So here we have Sita, because of her anger towards Ravana, his whole civilization practically was destroyed. Now, who is another example in the other epic? Draupadi. The whole battlefield of Kṛṣṇa, one of the main reasons it was fought, because of the offense against Draupadi. So, treat ladies nicely, right? Or else. Treat all ladies as if they're like your mother, if they're not married. So, make them respect. But just have the power here. And there, well, of course, Sita is Lakshmi herself, and Draupadi is Krishna, so dear to Krishna. So because of their position, the offenses against them, Krishna took, Lord Ramachandra took very, very seriously. So one should be very, very careful not to offend anyone, but especially women, especially devotees. Be very, very careful. So it's given as the reason here that the very, very, very powerful Rakshasas, they were condemned from the very, very beginning. And in fact, Ravana was advised, right? He said, don't do this. Don't do. He was advised. Even we're going to read. Hopefully, I have some time because it's one of the most spectacular, gruesome episodes on the battle, the killing of Kumbhakarna. I like to read that because he's mentioned here. Because Ravana thought, okay, we lost a lot of very, very powerful personalities, but there's no way in the world that they can defeat Kumbhakarna. So, but so very, very powerful personalities. But so much advice was given to him. Bibhishan gave so much advice. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Maricha said, don't do it. He had that plan. Oh, you're going to become a deer and I'm going to kidnap Sita. He said, don't do it. Whatever you do, don't do this. And he said, okay, I'll tell you what. You got two choices. Either I'm going to kill you or Ramachandra's going to kill you. So he said, okay, I'll have Ramachandra kill me. Of course, if he was actually that devoted, he would have denied. He would have just wouldn't have done it. But that's another article, another point. So all good advice, because they could understand that you're condemned from the very beginning. You have no chance of winning this war because of the position you're taking. So anyways, what's described here is enemies. And Prabhupada's saying about we all have our enemies. Now, I guess you could say according to a person's varna, they have different enemies. Like if you're engaged in business, who's your enemy? Taxes could be your enemy, right? They want to take all your money. Who's another enemy, so to speak? Your competition. You got to deal with them. If you own a business, maybe your employees could be your enemies, right? They make so much trouble for you. Labor union, right? The unions, things like that. So if you're a Vaishya, you got that kind of an enemy. How about a Kshatriya? What we can see here, right? Fighting a war. You got your internal, you got the other political parties. Everyone's jostling for position. Republican and Democrat. What are the parties in India called?
Congress, BJP.
Right, they're all fighting with each other, right? The communists and so. So politicians, they got their enemies internally, and then external. Let's say there's a war, you got your enemies, right? Now, how about for? I think Sudras is just themselves. They got to deal with all their low qualities, but Brahmins, Vaishnavas, who are enemies? Krishna mentions 3 of them in the Bhagavad Gita, the biggies. Yes, that's it. Kam, Krodh, Lobh. There they are. Big enemies. Lust, anger, and greed. Those are our big enemies. They, in fact, he says they're the 3 gates leading to hell. You know, those old game shows, door number 1, door number 2, number 3. But here, all 3 of them you're going to hell. So what do you choose? Right? You're all going to hell. So none of them are good. But these are the 3 biggies that we all have to fight against. And that's the point being made here. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada is referring to that verse here, 9:22. Actually, he doesn't refer it in the purport. I just wanted to bring it up. 9:22. Because I hope I can get that Yogakshema Baham Yaham. Okay, I got 3 verses here. There we go. There's Ananyas Chintanto Mam Ye Jana Paryupasate Tesam Nitya Bhuktanam Yogakshema Baham Yaham. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. So the point being made in the purport is that there are daiva, or daivam, strength, and then there's this purusha kara, our own strength, our own intelligence, our own virility. And the spiritual strength, which is coming from Krishna, is always superior, so we should always take shelter of Krishna, and Krishna will help us. And Krishna promises that right here, that Yogakshema Bahamya. I mean, it even says in the Bhagavad Gita that he tells Arjuna, what is that? About declare boldly, my devotee never perishes. Yes. Never declare boldly, my devotee never perishes. I'll always take care of my devotee. I'll always take care of my devotee. Whereas our own prowess, how powerful are we? And however powerful we are, in due course of time, it all dwindles and falls apart. And these 3 big enemies, this Kam, Krodh, and Lobh, we have no chance. Now we'll jump into the story of Kumbhakarna, but you can just imagine what the army of Ramachandra, they're looking at the massive walls of Lanka. They probably weren't like 6-foot walls. They're probably huge, who knows how high. It's probably a description. And then all of a sudden Kumbhakarna steps over the wall to come out to fight. He's so big he doesn't go through the gate. He actually steps over the wall to come and fight with him. They're like, Hare Krishna, Ram. So we'll read about that. So Kam, Krodh, and Lobh, they're like that. And there's 3 of them. And you got to deal with them. And Bhishma Dev, in his instructions to Maharaj Yudhisthira and everyone gathered there, explained what to do about Kam, Krodh, and Lobh. And there's many different instructions throughout the Gita in all kinds of different places. But I'll just tell you what Bhishma Dev said. Now, as far as kama means lust, it means your desire just to enjoy the material world. That I'm going to just enjoy the material world. He says, don't make plans to enjoy. That's one way to curb it. And also to be very tolerant. In other words, all these plans, I'm going to do that, just tolerate it. So there's two things he said. Don't make plans to conquer lust. Don't make plans to enjoy. And also be very, very tolerant. How about crowed, anger? We get angry at other people. He said, you have to learn how to forgive everyone. You just have to forgive people, right? Because we get angry at people. You see what they call it, road rage? Road rage, right? Someone cuts in front of you and blah, 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 blah. My son-in-law has that problem, like that. We asked him to tone it down now that he has children, our grandsons. You know, people that just someone cuts in front, they start using words that should not be repeated in the presence of gentle people, like that. So, like that. So people get upset. And there's a lot of anger in the world today, isn't there? There's a lot of anger. People are very angry. And because you don't know how to forgive. You have to be very, very forgiving, like that. And then lobe, that's, what is loba? Greed. Okay. He says the most important thing is avoid bad association. Don't be around greedy people. And there's a lot of greedy people, and the whole media and all that is to incite your greed, because if you want more and more and more, you'll spend more and more money. So stay away from bad association. And also it says here, contemplate the outcome of your greed. In other words, you're going to do this and this and think, but look down the line. How much suffering and pain you can cause yourself and others, and it's all temporary anyways. So be thoughtful about that. Most people don't think. They just do so many different things in pursuit of greed, and so many people, including themselves, get hurt. So this is the advice of Bhishma Dev. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains in the 11th chapter a very important lesson, which is a guideline for all of us. I'll just read the translation. Well, yeah, I'll read the translation. He says to Arjuna, therefore get up, prepare to fight and win glory. Conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They're already put to death by my arrangement. And you, O Sabyasachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. So Krishna is explaining here what's actually going on in this world, that he is completely in control of everything, and he has his plan. And Prabhupada explains that here in the beginning of this purport about Krishna's plan for everything. We think the material nature is malleable to our plan. Yeah, you got a plan? Yeah, you got a plan. I got a plan. Suresh, you got a plan? Yeah, you got a lot of plans. Okay. Everyone's got a plan. So every single living entity's got a plan. Even in a simple form of life, out on the patio, what's the plan of all those plants? Get some sun. They've been kind of slowed down. They're on what do you call that? Time out. But they still got a plan to get some sun and water. Every living entity's got a plan how they're going to enjoy in this world and manipulate the material world. Everyone's got a plan. But actually, Krishna's the one with the plan. And if we can align ourselves with Krishna's plan, or as he says here, nimiti matram, become an instrument in Krishna's hands, then everything goes very, very nicely. We're actually in complete harmony and concert with the greater reality. And Krishna gives everyone plenty of slack to try to enjoy whatever they want, just so they can learn this. It's not going to work. But here's the key to the whole, to Krishna consciousness. What Krishna's telling Arjuna, just get up and fight. Be an instrument, fulfilling my desire, because I desire this. And it's going to happen, Prabhupada points out, he tells Arjuna, it's going to happen whether you fight or not. I'll get someone else, because this is what I want to happen. So it doesn't really, he said, I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to fight. You're just like Balaram Prabhu, his temple president. Someone says, I'm not going to cook the offering. Well, offering has to be cooked, so Balaram just gets someone else to cook the offering. So the devotee said, I'm not going to cook the offering, lost an opportunity to do some service, right? So it's all going to go on. It's all going to go on, and that's the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada pointed out, we can get the glory, or go to someone else. But Lord Chaitanya wants to spread his movement all over the world. So it's a question of you want to join that and become an instrument in the Lord's plan. And that's what that daiva is. And if you do that, then all kinds of success and potency and strength is there. And how is it possible that the Vanaras, with their sticks and stones and mountain peaks and so on, although very, very powerful, could win over an army like the Rakshasas, who had mystic powers and mystical weapons and so on and so on? It's because they were completely, they were devotees of Ramachandra. And what was Lord Ram's plan? To conquer and take Sita back. So just join it. It's just like join it. It's a winning team. Everyone likes to join a winning team, right? You join the winning team, you're going to win. It's a winning team. So Krishna's team is the winning team, and of course, that's the point. It's a winning team. So if you like, I could just take a minute or two or three or four or five, if that's okay, and read this section from the Ramayana, which is a meditation on this, that seemingly impossible, but some or other, because their connection with Lord Ram, they came out completely successful, even though it appeared to be an impossible task. And that's another thing I want to bring up. You hear many times in devotees talking about the old days, they'll talk about Krishna miracles, right? So many devotees reminiscing about Krishna miracles, that because just surrendering to push on the movement, materially, there's no money for this or no money for that or this or that, or someone's not giving permission or whatever, and just go ahead and just try your best, and all of a sudden things just got aligned. Temples got opened and this and that, and so many things. It was just a miracle. It's a miracle. How could it possibly happen? I was just into lecture, some devotees talking about that. They're talking about that one professor. It's in that that movie, Hare Krishna. Maybe you're ever a well-wisher. And the professor was saying he met Brahmananda. He was in New York in the early days, and he met Brahmananda. And he was saying Brahmananda, was just a new young guy, new person, didn't know anything about anything. And Prabhupada asked him to start a magazine. And he said all Brahmananda knew about magazines was how to read one. But somehow he started back to Godhead, because Prabhupada used to do it. And at the point that he could see that the Shakti of Krishna was flowing through Prabhupada and just empowering so many devotees to do so many things just because they joined the team. Krishna works through his devotees because he has a plan. So, okay. So would you like me to read this? Okay. Some Krishna Dharma's version. So, now Kumbhakarna was just woken up. He was cursed by Lord Brahma. How often did he? Once a year he woke up or something? Just once a year? Every 6 months. And he had just woken up and ate more than, and then went back to sleep. If there's, sometimes they joke, if there's a devotee who, when you wake them up, they're really mad at you, he's like Kumbhakarna. Like that. It's like, there's some devotees who just don't wake me up. So like Kumbhakarna. So anyways, he was woken up. The situation was explained. Kumbhakarna said a few words to Ravana, like I told you so. Before I went back to sleep, I told you don't do this. You didn't even listen to me. He's his brother. So you didn't listen to me, but you're my brother, so okay, I'll take care of things. In other words, they were fully confident that it's over now for Ramachandra. It's completely over. Kumbhakarna is this gigantic giant. Of course, giants are gigantic, but it's huge giant of a personality. So, Kumbhakarna sprang to his feet and washed his face. He called for more drink and quickly swallowed 2,000 pails of strong wine. Slightly inebriated, he drank 2,000 pails and he was slightly inebriated, like that. You do pretty good in PB on Garnet Avenue, I guess. Slightly inebriated and anticipating the excitement of battle, the Rakshasa left his cave and marched toward Ravana's palace, shaking the earth with his every step. He was surrounded by Rakshasas who ran with joined palms and continuously sang his praises. From outside the city, the monkeys saw Kumbhakarna rising above the city walls like a mountain peak. They cried in fear and fell stunned to the earth. Some of them fled in all directions, seized by panic. Seeing Kumbhakarna, who was adorned with a blazing diadem. What's that? Diadem. It's probably crown, yeah. Moving within the city, the monkeys were struck with terror. They rushed to Ram's tent, calling for him to come out quickly. Ram came out holding his bow. He saw the huge Rakshasa glowing with a brilliant effulgence. Ram's eyes opened wide with astonishment. He asked Bibhishan, "Who is this fellow resembling in every way a shining mountain? Simply upon seeing him, the monkeys have been put to flight. I have never seen such a creature before." Bibhishan told Ram everything about Kumbhakarna, describing the power of Ravana's immense brother. He said, "This demon has defeated Indra and all the gods in battle. He has crushed and devoured tens of thousands of mighty Daityas and Danavas. Indeed, this one has consumed innumerable living beings. It was for this reason that Brahma contrived to have him sent into continuous slumber. The gods feared that he would render all the worlds bereft of creatures, all of them having been eaten by him." So he had a big appetite. He just kept eating things, people and creatures. Obviously, Ravana, fearful of you, has roused him for the battle. Bibhishan suggested that Ram inform the monkeys that Kumbhakarna was only a mechanical device. Otherwise, they would never be able to muster up the courage to face him in battle. That's interesting. Ram smiled. There was no need for that. He would himself deal with this massive mountain of a Rakshasa. He ordered Nila to quickly array the troops for battle. They should be reassured that Ram would himself face the Colossus. Taking hold of the mountain peaks, trees, and various weapons, the monkeys deployed themselves around Lanka. So we just read about that in the Bhagavatam. That's what they had for weapons. Awaiting Kumbhakarna's appearance, Ram himself stood with Lakshman, both of them holding their bows and facing the city. And Lanka, Kumbhakarna, who could change his form and size at will, had reached Ravana's palace. Okay, like I said, there was some discussion here about he got angry with Ravana for not listening to him before. Kumbhakarna vaunted his prowess at length, growing more and more enraged. He did not care if Brahma, Indra, and Yamaraj appeared on the battlefield. There'd be no shelter for Ram and his army. Mahodara spoke again. "O Kumbhakarna, you are powerful and brave, but you should give up any thought of defeating Ram." Now, who's Mahodara? Isn't that Ravana's wife? I guess it's an advisor. And I think he had an encounter with Ram before. He's been out on the battlefield. That human has already killed 14,000 powerful Rakshasas single-handedly. He is now decimating our army. I do not think further battle with him is at all wise. Okay. Mahodara was afraid. He suggested that Ravana used trickery to win over Sita. The demon king should convince her that Ram was dead and then would submit to him. They would deprive Ram of all energy. Both Ravana and Kumbhakarna told Mahodara to be quiet. That plan had already failed. So I think they already did the mystical head and so on. There was no avoiding the battle now, short of returning Sita, and that was out of the question. Kumbhakarna boomed. "I shall now march out to make good the disastrous policy you initiated," speaking to his brother. "You are surrounded by useless ministers like Mahodara. They simply acquiesce out of fear and lead you into more and more danger, which they are now powerless to prevent. It is fortunate that you and I are here, that I am here as your protector." So it says he put on this amazing golden coat of mail and armor, took up all these weapons. It says thousands of drums were beaten and conches blew. Imagine what that sound was like. Kumbhakarna assumed a form 600 bow lengths high and more than 100 in breadth. He strode towards the battlefield surrounded by gigantic Rakshasas driving chariots and mounted upon elephants. Others followed him on camels, donkeys, lions, serpents, antelopes, and birds. I guess birds are good because you get a quick getaway if you need to. Just go, let's get out of here. The Rakshasas, who all had terrifying forms and faces, raised their maces, swords, lances, and bows, sending up a terrific roar. As the Rakshasas moved off, there were many grim omens. Massive gray clouds full of thunder and lightning covered the sun. The earth shook. Birds wheeled from right to left, and a large vulture perched on Kumbhakarna's pike. He's holding this thing, a vulture sitting on top of it. The Rakshas's left eye and arm throbbed. A flaming meteor fell from the sky and descended to the ground with a horrible crash. Jackals howled, and a strong wind blew in their faces. Kumbhakarna paid no heed to the omens. He stepped over Lanka's defensive wall and laughed out loud. The Rakshasas gazed around at the army of monkeys, which appeared like a mass of clouds. Seeing the stupendous Rakshasas' sudden appearance, the monkeys dispersed in all directions, even as clouds are scattered by a gale. Kumbhakarna roared repeatedly, filling the four quarters with an unbearable thundering, which agitated the ocean and made the mountains quake. Numerous monkeys fell unconscious, simply hearing the sound. Others fled, screeching in terror. As the monkeys stampeded, Angada called out to them, "Have you forgotten your prowess, your valor, and your lineage?" "Yes." "Why are you fleeing like ordinary monkeys? This gigantic nightmare of a Rakshasa will not be able to stand for long against us, protected as we are by Ram and Lakshman." See, that full faith. "Stand and fight, O Vanaras." The monkeys regained confidence upon hearing Angada's words. Turning back and taking hold of trees and rocks, they stood firm as Kumbhakarna rushed towards them. They smashed the Rakshasa with mountain peaks and fully grown trees, but these had no effect whatsoever. Falling shattered to the ground. Kumbhakarna reached down and scooped up hundreds of monkeys. He dashed them furiously to the earth. The Rakshasa began destroying the ranks of the Vanara troops like a fire consuming dry wood. Innumerable huge monkeys soon lay senseless on the ground, covered with blood. The monkeys again hastily retreated. They bounded away without looking back or sideways. Some rushed back to the ocean bridge. Others were sailing through the air, having been struck or tossed by the Rakshasa. With their faces turned pale, the monkeys scrambled up mountains and dived into the sea. Bears climbed trees and hid in caves. The whole army ran about in fear, not knowing which way to turn. Just a sidelight in case you're feeling a little upset about this. After the battle, Lord Ramachandra brought all the monkeys back to life. There you go. Maybe we shouldn't have told you that. But he even offered Ravana, before the final battle, he said, "Ravana, if you give me Sita back, I'll bring all the Rakshasas back to life. Everyone will completely forget this whole battle, and the whole city of Lanka will be rebuilt. And I won't have any enmity toward you whatsoever. Just return Sita." You know what Ravana said? No. Angada tried again and again to rally the monkeys. He called out to them, "Come back. Where will you hide from this monster? He must be faced. What will you say to your wives after you have fled in fear from the battlefield? Have you forgotten your boasting words? We shall annihilate the Rakshasas. How have you become such cowards? No regions of bliss are ever attained by cowards. Indeed, they're always condemned by good men." Although Angada tried in many ways to convince the troops to fight, they would not listen. They continued fleeing, some of them replying to the prince as they ran, "This Rakshasa cannot be faced in battle. There is no time to exhibit bravery, for life is dear. We are going." Although their troops fell in all directions, Angada and Sugriva remained firm, along with Hanuman and some of the other powerful commanders of the monkey troops. The Vanara leaders then somehow managed to check the monkeys and reminded them of Ram's invincibility. With heartening arguments, they convinced the monkeys to once more advance against Kumbhakarna. Thousands of monkeys rushed in a body at Kumbhakarna, but he swept them aside with his pike. He ran about crushing and devouring the monkeys, even as Garuda would devour serpents. With great difficulty, the monkeys remained standing in the forefront of battle. Waves of other Rakshasas rushed forward in support of Kumbhakarna, roaring in joy. The battle raged furiously, with Kumbhakarna wreaking havoc among the monkey army. The powerful Dvidvida, what we have in Krishna book, is in his better days, hurled an immense boulder at Kumbhakarna. The Rakshasa evaded the rock, and it fell among the other Rakshasas, crushing chariots, horses, and elephants, along with hundreds of demons. It must have been a big boulder. The Rakshasa warriors fought back, severing the heads of the yelling monkeys with their deadly arrows. Hanuman leapt into the air and rained down rocks and trees upon Kumbhakarna's head. Seeing Hanuman thrown, and then it says that Kumbhakarna threw Hanuman down. Seeing Hanuman thrown down, the Rakshasa forces cheered loudly, and the monkeys fled in fear. And it says Nila attacked, and so, let's choose down here. It says Kumbhakarna looked like death incarnate, appearing for the destruction of all living beings. One by one, the powerful monkey soldiers assailed him and were repulsed. Sugriva took up a great mountaintop and boldly challenged the Rakshasa. See now my prowess, O Rakshasa. Leave aside the other monkeys and face me. With this mountain peak I'll dash you to the ground. The Rakshasa laughed. I know you, monkey. You are the grandson of Brahma and the son of the mighty Riksharaj. Thus you stand there roaring. Show now me the limits of your strength. It says here Sugriva threw it, and it just broke into pieces. And he knocks Sugriva unconscious and grabbed him and started going back into Lanka, holding Sugriva. It says, as the Rakshasa stepped over the city wall, he was greeted by cheering citizens. They showered flowers and scented water on him. Mistake. Sugriva felt the cool water on his face and he regained consciousness. He saw himself being carried towards Ravana's palace. Bending his body violently, Sugriva sprung around and ripped off the demon's ear with his nails. Well, that hurt. Then he bit off the end of his nose. Don't get in a fight with a monkey. That's the lesson right here. And clawed his side. Kumbhakarna roared in pain and threw the monkey down. Sugriva bounced up like a ball. He sprang onto a rooftop and quickly bounded over the city wall back to the monkeys. So they almost got Sugriva. Lakshman now appears before the Rakshasa. He immediately shot 24 flaming arrows into Kumbhakarna's arms. The prince continuously released arrows which covered Kumbhakarna on all sides like a golden cloud. Brushing aside the shafts, the Rakshasa laughed, and he spoke to Lakshman. You have shown me your prowess, O prince. I am impressed with your valor. Even Indra or Yamaraj could not dare to face me in an encounter, but I wish to fight only with Ram. Where is your brother? By slaying him, I shall put an end to this conflict. My army will then finish the rest of the monkeys. So here's the challenge. Ram heard the Rakshasa's haughty challenge. He called out, stand ready for battle. He shot from a distance a number of arrows that pierced the huge demon all over. Kumbhakarna at once rushed towards him, clutching his mighty mace. Ram sent volleys of arrows which shattered the Rakshasa's mace even as he raised it for Ram's destruction. Shafts bedecked with golden feathers thudded into the demon's body by the thousands. Blood poured from his wounds like streams from a mountain. Kumbhakarna ran about in fury, crushing monkeys and demons alike. He seized hold of a tremendous rock and flung at Ram. The prince released sharpened arrows and smashed the crag as it flew towards him. The pieces of the rock killed 200 Rakshasas as the shards fell to earth. Thousands of monkeys rushed at Kumbhakarna and leapt upon him, trying to drag him down. But the Rakshasa shook them off like so many insects. He dashed about, intoxicated with battle, and slaying both friend and foe. He went crazy. Ram, determined that it was time to kill him, had arrived. Firmly grasping his bowl, he called out, take heart and fight, O Lord of the Rakshasas. Know me to be the destroyer of the Rakshasa race. You will be slain by me. Kumbhakarna whirled around and faced Ram. But suddenly Bibhishan came between them with a mace in hand. Seeing him there, Kumbhakarna spoke to him. Yes, my brother, come forward and strike at once. abandon all filial affection, and remain devoted to the duty of a warrior. O Bibhishan, you alone are the redeemer of our race. Among the Rakshasas, you are the best knower of virtue. Indeed, I will not slay you today, for you deserve protection at my hands. So, stand aside, I cannot check my nature, and I am giving to wantonly kill all creatures. Bibhishan replied to his brother, with the interests of my race in mind, I always tendered advice to Ravana, but neglected by him, I sought Ram's shelter. Hence I stand before you in battle today. Tears sprang to Bibhishan's eyes as he spoke. Ram consoled him and told him to stand aside. The time for Kumbhakarna's destruction had come. Seeing Ram standing firmly before him, Kumbhakarna laughed hideously and spoke, I am neither Virada nor Kabanda, nor am I Kara, Dushana, Vali, or Maricha. I am Kumbhakarna, arrived here as your death. Do not hold me in contempt. Show me the full limit of your power, and I shall then devour you, O Ram. That's Kshatriya talk. Ram at once released arrows which flew with the speed of lightning and struck the body of Kumbhakarna. Those arrows which had formerly pierced 7 sal trees and then the very earth itself did not even shake the demon. It's drama. It's all drama. The Rakshasa took up a massive club and whirled it about, knocking down Ram's arrows as they flew. Laughing again and again, Kumbhakarna stood and with his great club uplifted. Ram released an arrow imbued with the force of Vayu. It roared through the air and severed the Rakshasa's arm. It's getting close. That arm, still clutching the club, fell to the earth and killed 1,000 monkeys and Rakshasas. That must have been a big arm and a big club. The Rakshasa shrieked with pain, making the sky vibrate and the mountains break open. He looked like a mountain whose summit had been cut off with a gigantic sword. With his remaining arm, he took up a massive palmyra tree and rushed towards Ram. With each step, the earth vibrated and huge trees toppled over in distant forests. Ram released another mystic missile which cut off the Rakshasa's other arm. It fell with an enormous crash, sending Rakshasas and monkeys scattering in all directions. With blood spurting from the stumps of his arms, you got that visual? Okay, the Rakshasa continued to rush at Ram. He bellowed furiously, and the monkeys covered their ears, unable to tolerate the noise. Ram shot a pair of crescent-headed arrows imbued with the force of Indra's thunderbolt, and they severed the Rakshasa's feet. So he's running at him. His arms are gone. He just cut off both his feet. Not deterred, the Rakshasa still somehow moved swiftly toward the prince. His mouth was wide open, and he emitted savage, deafening cries which shook the earth. In an instant, Ram filled his mouth with arrows, and the demon was silenced. Ram then took up an arrow which was encrusted with gems and which shone brilliantly, and powering it with the force of the Brahmastra, he released it for Kumbhakarna's destruction. As it flew at terrible speed, the arrow illuminated all directions like a blazing comet descending to earth. It tore off the Rakshasa's head, which looked like a peak of the Himalaya mountains. Adorned with a pair of blazing gold earrings, his head shone as it was carried through the air by the force of Brahma's weapon. It seemed like the rising moon moving through the heavens. It fell upon the defensive wall of Lanka and demolished the massive northern gate. The head then rolled along the royal highway. Just kept going. By the power of Brahma's mystic missile, the Rakshasa's body was lifted and thrown into the ocean, creating a tidal wave which swept the coast of Lanka. So he cut off his head. His head went right through smashed the gate and kept rolling down this main street of the city of Lanka, but his body flew that way and splashed into the ocean and made a tidal wave. Hosts of gods and rishis assembled in the sky and joyously praised Ram. The monkeys surrounded him with roaring and exultation. All the remaining Rakshasas fled, astonished and dismayed. Ram felt elated and shone brightly amid the monkeys, even as the sun shines after the eclipse. says, I'll just read this here. The Rakshas ran quickly to Ravana and told him the news. After wreaking havoc among the monkeys for some time, your glorious brother has been slain by Ram. His limbless and headless trunk lies half submerged in the sea, and his head now blocks the city's main gate. Just a message from Ram. So, just reiterating what Prabhupada said in the purport there about taking shelter of divine or daiva power, and even our material arrangements and intelligence, as good as we think they are, ultimately are not good enough. But when Krishna's behind us, or not Krishna's behind us, we're behind Krishna and on his team, so to speak. All kinds of amazing things are there, and we're always guaranteed success in fighting our three main enemies, which are... Thank you, Prabhu. You sound just like Charvetta. I don't know if there's any times for questions or comments on anything. I guess you'd have to check with Ananda Vrindavan. So we get in here? Is everyone just stunned hearing the killing of Kumbhakarna? Okay. So we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Shri Ramachandra ki jai.